we started off with just the 5 of us. But before you know it, you know half the college. And how that works is, for example, I joined the football team. And you end up training, you're put on a team, and you're meeting these players around you, these Italian lads. How are you doing? Giuseppe? Yeah, Emmanuel, nice to meet you, yeah. And the next day, you'll see them in the canteen, and they'll be like, ciao. Who is, oh, it's the Gooch. The Gooch will be like that, why is the man kissing me? But the Gooch will get to know the Italians, and then we get to know their friends, and then Sean and Robin and Delir will be off in different groups, and we get to know all them. Before long, you walk into the canteen, you know everybody. And you can just sit down beside anybody and have dinner with them, or just... Another really good thing with that is you'll meet people who are in a year ahead of you, and they'll be able to teach you some of the stuff you can't figure out on your course. So, lots of international students here. Again, an opportunity for you to meet people who are different to you, and in doing that, learn more about yourself. I will say a word of caution, though. All right? Because there's a language barrier, sometimes they might say something, I mean one thing, but you think they mean something else. You know, I need a bit of water for this. You're going to meet Father Shea, the college chaplain, who is an absolute legend. Right? This story is exactly Father Shea, right? He phones me up one day and he says, have you got a drill? And I was like, a drill? No, boy. He says, well, you know that Italian girl you fancy? And I said, yeah. And he goes, well, she was just in my office earlier, and she's looking for someone to drill a hole in her wall. Right? And he told her, I'm the man for the job. So I went to Dublin, got a drill, I knocked down to her house. I'd never spoken to her before. She was absolutely stunning. I was 27 at the time. I knocked on her door. My heart is beating out my chest. And she opened the door, and I go in. I drill a hole in her wall. And she was so happy with the hole in her wall that I drilled that she said, Stefano, I have to make you dinner. Beautiful girl, but she talked like a Mario brother. She says, Stefano, I go, shh, don't talk. So anyway, I went down for dinner and I started calling down every now and again to her, and I thought maybe I'd been friend zoned a little bit. I was kind of trying to phase her out without looking like, I don't know. What's yeah, friend zoned. I'll explain it later. What? Of course he knows. Of course, yeah. Sarah, that's because only men get friend zoned. That's why. So I started calling out. One evening, I'm down in her house. It's the midterm break. All the international students, she lives with her away. And it's about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I put my bag on to leave, and I'm right at the door, and she leaned in to kiss me. But I thought it was this sort of, you know, Italian thing, right? So I pulled back, and she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I was like, oh, it's okay. And I just walked out the door, and I was like, hang on, was she trying to kiss me there for real? So I got my phone out. As soon as I got home, and I texted her, I said, hey, were you trying to kiss me properly there? And she said, oh, I was, yeah, well, I kind of have a boyfriend in Italy, you know, so I shouldn't have done it. And I said, should I call back up? Like? And she said, no, it wouldn't be right. And I was like, I could call back up and we just talk, like. I have wine and all, it's grand. I have nothing to do in the morning, like. So she's like, no. So I wake up the next day and I have this big long message from her, and she says, I'm really sorry about last night, you know. Just give me a second. She said, I'm really sorry about last night. I don't know what's going on with this guy in Italy, but I'll make it up to you. Right? Now, I'm an optimist. Right? So she says, I'll make it up to you. So a couple of days later, she sends me a message. Says, what are you up to? I'm up in the coffee dock, which is just up there. And I said, oh, I'm just in the coffee dock. And she says, want to call down to mine for a special coffee, right? Not just a special coffee, though, right? Special coffee, winky face. Right? I read that and went, whoa. There was a girl in my class beside me, I said, Sorka, read that. What does that mean? She went, get down there now. You were about to get some. She did about 10 minutes walk that way. I was there in about 2 minutes, banging on the door. No nerves. She lets me in. First thing I heard was a load of voices, and I walked into the kitchen. There's all these international students sitting there. And I was like, what's going on here? So she sits me down and brings me over a cup of coffee with a piece of chocolate ice cream in it.
Special coffee.
That was the special coffee. Yeah. So I had to come back to the college, and the wolf pack had heard where I was gone, and they were like, yes, we did it. I'd say, no, it's just a coffee. They were like, what about the winky face? So there's no real moral to that story. I just thought, So I had to get off my chest. It is. I don't know. I've often typed her name into Facebook just to see why she's beautiful as I remember. I've even Googled imaged her.
Married with Bambini, living somewhere.
I don't care. She's mad anyway. She showed herself to be mad once. Oh, that's not me being bitter. She better lock her around the place one day. So. Oh yeah, I want to finish up this friend section. I mean, this is of the three topics. This is by far the longest. I wanted to show you this picture here. I saw this picture going up on Facebook there at Christmas, and it immediately struck me because it was so real and so authentic, and I don't think you see that on social media very often. The girls aren't wearing makeup. They've got their hair tied up or tied back. A couple of them look like they're wearing pajamas, and yet they're so happy. It's obvious that they're such good friends that they feel totally relaxed and comfortable around each other to just be themselves. That picture was taken, as I said, at Christmas. These girls they're from different parts of the country. They live in different parts of the world now. And at Christmas they got together to catch up, and they picked up where they left off. Now, the reason I'm showing you that picture is because 8 years ago, those 5 girls sat in an induction room just like this, the one up there, and were total strangers to each other. And the same is true for you guys. The strangers around you right now will be some of the best friends you ever make in your life. So, just to recap my little friends thing. God, that was very deep, wasn't it? Very contrasting stories, wasn't it? Friendship goals. So what I encourage you to do, if you're a very quiet person, I encourage you to try and leave your comfort zone over the next few weeks. Just try and reach out and connect with people. Join some of the clubs and societies. And on the other hand, if you're a very confident, outgoing person and you're forming little groups, do not leave people by themselves. Everybody needs to feel included, whether they're quiet or loud. Everybody wants to be in a group and accepted. So reach out to these people and include them in what you're doing. Right, so I'll move on.
You might get to pass financial accounting.
You might get to. Oh, well, I will say, actually, a good point. Myself and Sean, we did kind of reach out to the younger guys, but absolutely, we benefited more from having met them than they did for us. And it'll be the same for you. Lots of people who are different to you, but heading in the same direction. So belief. I came into this college 8 years ago. I sat in an induction room up in the far corner, and I was the first in my family to go to college, first of my friends, where I grew